Good evening, and welcome to this latest installment of Toxic Masculinity, our beautiful live stream that we do every Monday and Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern. No, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern. I know how to talk. Look at Jason's beautiful shirt. Look at that thing. I'm sorry we're late, guys. Sorry we're late. It's my fault. I have a little bit of a cold. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather. It took me a little while to get going. It's the morning where I am. So, I just didn't want to get out of bed is what happened, really, at the end of the day.
He celebrated too hard this weekend on the victory that Trump had.
That's literally true, actually. It's weird. I actually don't drink. I don't drink at all. But I have had an absolute ton of alcohol over the past few days for various reasons, one celebration or another. Just going out and stuff. And I'm not used to that. That's not my typical lifestyle. So, I don't know why I was doing that. But anyway, love that shirt, man. Where did you get that? Did you get that on my Teespring site? Because it looks a lot like a Mr. Reagan design.
It's Mr. Reagan merch.
I should really make that a little bit smaller on the shirt. It's too big, I feel like, on the shirt.
What, his image?
Everything. Yeah, the whole.
No, I like it. I like it.
What does it say? America's Most Wanted, I think it says, right?
Most Wanted.
Yeah, I think I need to make that like half the size. Okay, I'll redo that shirt. But I think it looks good, yeah. All right, so on the show today, we're going to get into the news because there's a lot of big news, huge stories, massive stories. Supreme Court did something awesome. Supreme Court did something terrible. And we're going to get into all of it. But first, I want to introduce you to somebody. We've got a little guest. The thing is, you guys in the chat, you guys are amazing. You're always amazing. We talked to you guys about how amazing you are. And one person in the chat thought, you know what? I'd like to visit the show. I'd like to come on for a minute. I said, you know what? Let's have you do a little political analysis about the news. So we've got on the show today a Miss Dame Frodo Lives. Dame Frodo Lives, how are you?
Well, how are you guys? Hi, everybody.
I'm doing reasonably well, except for the slight cold. Jason seems to be doing awesome because he's got the best shirt in the world. But Dame Frodo Lives, before we get started, I want to ask you something. What's up with the Frodo Lives moniker? Where does it? Oh, I love that. I love that.
The white is nice. I like it. White like that with the black.
The white looks good. It's true.
Yeah,
for the mug. Yeah.
I love this mug. I love it. Love it. Love it. So the Frodo comes from...
I'm waiting for my Toxic Masculinity mug still, but it's okay.
I know. I need to send you guys that stuff.
So you were asking, where's the Frodo? Dame Frodo Lives. The Frodo comes from Tolkien. I am a huge Tolkien fan.
Well, I do know what Frodo is, of course. Yeah, but I'm just curious. Okay, so you're a huge Frodo. You're a huge Tolkien fan, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, the favorite books that I read. The very first one had a foreword that said, "Long before Frodo Lives began to appear upon the subways in New York, I knew about Tolkien." Now, this guy was writing in the 70s. But I never forgot that. A picture of Frodo Lives written across the subway. And so it's always satisfying.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, so that was a sort of gloating about how somebody, because I think Tolkien was writing in the 40s, was it? Was it the 40s or the 50s?
Yeah, 50s was when that was totally released, yeah.
The Hobbit really was the first book.
Correct.
But I don't know what year that came.
Yeah, wrote that first.
Yeah. Fantastic. When I was young, I was probably 12 years old when I read The Hobbit. And I got done with The Hobbit and I started reading Lord of the Rings. And I got through like the first chapter and I just couldn't do it. It was too big. The book was too big. And I just thought, I got to move on to something else. So I started reading something else.
Yeah, it's pretty long.
Yeah, I mean, I was 12 years old. It was too much. I was really a busy kid. I had corporate reports to fill out and all kinds of terrible things. That's not good.
It's too long for adults.
I know, for some adults, yeah, sure, yeah. I should go back and read those actually, but they got the movies out. So anyway, all right. Well, we've got so much to cover. Dame Frodo Lives. Are you excited to do some of this political analysis here for the viewers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
All in. All right,
I'm looking for your take. All right, Jason, what do we got here up on the I don't know, what do we call this?
we have the Babylon Bee.
Docket, I think. MMA Fix jumped in and said, "Here's some money. I spent it all on my vacation." Before I spent it, I read that wrong. Sorry, man. I messed the whole thing up. Here's some money before I spend it all on my vacation. Okay, well, thank you so much, MMA Fix. Hopefully, you're coming out here to Bali and we can hang out. All right, let's see here. What's the story?
We have the Babylon Bee. Dems stick with Biden as it would be a real pain to reprint these ballots they already filled out.
Yeah. Sorry, that was... Sorry, I had to start with one that I just thought was funny. Yeah, let me... There's really nothing to comment about this. I just thought it was a funny Babylon Bee thing.
It's probably true.
I can jump in with something. Did you guys
Please
hear that
do.
maybe Jill is who they'll replace him with? And they would
No, I have definitely not heard that, but that's also hilarious.
Okay, I'll stop.
She wishes.
No,
I feel like Joe Biden is some kind of is one of these people who craves attention now. She's kind of coming out as somebody who she really loves being famous. She loves the attention. She loves being in the limelight. She does not want to get out of it. It seems like everybody's trying to suggest to Joe that he drop out, and Jill is like, "Oh, heck no. Heck
they
no."
wouldn't have to reprint the ballots.
Well,
They wouldn't have to reprint them.
Yeah, I think that article has some truth to it, actually. That satire has some truth to it.
Yeah, of course it does.
It actually brings a good point, because when you show me that, I was like, that's a good one. Because I'm sure they got the everything working right now to steal or rig the vote.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, so well, actually, before you read the next story, I wanted to talk about something. I kind of forgot to do this. I wanted to kind of address the lesser talked about Supreme Court case today, which was a court case about me, essentially, and all social media people. The court basically said that, I think it was a Texas law and a Florida law, that you cannot restrict the social media's right to censor us. So social media can essentially do whatever they want. Hey, Dame Frodo Lives, can you tip your laptop slightly down, because you're a little bit low in the frame? There you go. Yeah, that's perfect. Oh yeah, perfect, beautiful. Maybe a little bit more. You can work it out. Just you got a lot of somehow it's going back. It must be springy. Yeah. So this is really tough for me, because it was a kind of a dodge. They didn't 100% explicitly say make a ruling on this. They kicked it down to the lower courts, but basically the idea to me is okay. Now maybe it's possible that the bigger problem is just this this law that the Congress passed that basically said, look, they basically have special protections to social media companies. This is a long time ago. I forget what the law is called. I used to know what the name was, or that the numbers were. But basically, it's like, okay, if you're a newspaper and you editorialize your newspaper, so you basically decide what gets in, what gets cut, you make sure that what you're presenting is the truth, whatever. You're liable if you get something wrong. You're liable if you slander somebody or defame somebody or something like that. You're liable for whatever you say in that newspaper. So you have total.
Oh, Jason,
he went out.
Did.
So yeah. Chris just went out. Let me text him, see what's going on.
That's the important part too. Back in the day, we were held liable for whatever we printed. They could hit us with slander.
So Dame Frodo Lives. What do you want to talk about tonight?
Well, I don't know enough about this one, so maybe we talk about the other one.
do you have anything interesting to say about yourself, since everybody knows you on the chat?
Hi, everybody.
Talk a little bit about yourself and tell us.
I'll carry on here for a minute while you get with Chris. Okay, why are there two dames in the chat? Somebody asked that. Why were there two dames? Dame Frodo Lives and Dame Piglet. And that was because Chris kept calling me a boy. He kept thinking I was a dude because of the name Frodo. You want to talk about something else, Jason? I'm just throwing this out here.
It's okay. So
anyway, so
all right.
I asked Dame Piglet if I could use her name so that he would know I'm a girl, and so he finally did.
All right. So I guess we can. What do you think about the debate? I want
Oh
your
my
thoughts
God.
on the debate.
Wow, man, I bet the chat is blowing up right now, huh? Dude, I think my first takeaway was I'm afraid.
There he is.
There he is.
But go on, don't stop.
Well, we can come back to the debate. We're going to talk about that anyway, right?
Yes, we are. Yep.
I will not lose my place because it definitely left a mark.
Yeah. Okay, Chris is back. You were deep into conversation, right in the perfect point that you were making.
Why is your screen? Why are you still at the bottom of your screen? You look like Frodo.
Your mic,
Your
your mic, Chris.
Let me fix it. I'll fix this.
Yeah.
Hold on.
What
There,
about
how's
my
that,
mic?
Chris? The better?
A little bit, yeah, a little bit. What about my mic, Chase?
I don't think it's on.
Yeah, my mic's on. Yeah.
I can hear you. Can the
Get
chat
closer
hear
to it.
Yes.
No. You sound like you're getting off from the camera.
Ah. All right, is that better?
They said, yeah, perfect. They said Chris freezing stone cold still looked better than any moment with Biden. Very true. Very true.
All right. So the point I was trying to make is they have this law that basically says that. Oh, all right. So let's say a newspaper becomes liable for everything they print, right? Now, if you have a town square, you have like a coliseum, or you have some privately owned business or whatever, where they're hosting an event, and the people at that event say things that, the people that host the venue don't agree with. The people that host the venue cannot be held liable, right? Because of free speech laws. So they've just, or like a town square, right? You can't hold the government accountable for things that people say in the town square. So the question has always been, is social media a town square where people like me on YouTube can say anything I want and YouTube cannot be held liable? Or is it more like a newspaper where, yeah, they can actually be held liable for the things that they post on YouTube? Well, Congress passed this law that said, you're not liable, so it's more like a town square. But the problem is YouTube still editorializes, so they censor people like me. Now, a town square shouldn't censor the people that come to the town square. They should be able to say whatever they want. That's the whole concept of free speech. So now you have this very specific kind of entity, these social media websites, that can both get the freedom of a town square. They have the liability of a town square, so they have no liability, but they also severely censor the speech that's on their platforms. Okay, and people have thought, okay, this is sort of unconstitutional in a way, right? Because you're censoring people, you're limiting their free speech, and yet you're not held liable for what's posted on your site. But we've got a law that says that they can do that. Now, I think that law specifically is unconstitutional. So I think we should go in and sue Congress for that law or something, and get that out. I really think Congress should just take it upon themselves to change that. Hopefully that'll happen in 2024, but who knows? We may not even win in 2024 if they're able to suffocate the information. Of course, now we've had the debate and that disaster and everything. It looks like Trump's going to win no matter what. So hopefully that works. But we've also got to win all the seats in Congress, all the seats in Senate. And I feel like social media rigs the system with how they channel information. They only want you to hear the things that are helpful to Democrats, and they want to censor anything that might be helpful to Trump or Republicans. Yeah. And this is not how America should function. We should be able to get all the information. Look, I say a lot of things on my channel that is speculative, right? But the thing is, I do get a lot of stuff right. And I say things that are controversial. I say things that maybe not everybody agrees with, right? I have a video, for crying out loud. I have one video called "Slave Masters Were Not Bad People," and I have another video called "Should Women Be Allowed to Vote?" Right? I do present some kind of provocative ideas. Now, if you watch those videos, they're not quite as provocative as they sound. Obviously, I make my titles a little clickbaity, but I should not be censored just because YouTube doesn't like the fact that I support Donald Trump. The same thing is true about a lot of other people who are, kind of in my camp on social media. But anyway, that's what I have to say about that. Yeah, go on, Jason. I was going to go to Dame Frodo Lives first, but let's go to Jason first.
Well, I was just thinking, sorry, Dame Frodo. But I was just thinking, like, imagine we kind of have a conservative majority in the Supreme Court, right? I'm correct, right, Chris? We have a
We definitely
majority.
have a majority.
So imagine, imagine they're passing stuff like that, like they went against that whole social media thing. Imagine if Trump didn't win and didn't put those justices in the Supreme Court. Imagine if it was a completely liberal majority. Imagine the disaster this country would be right now with all the things passing. So imagine we have a actually conservative majority in the Supreme Court, and it's still like kind of negatively affecting in some way.
Yeah, it's not exactly what I like to
so
see.
Imagine if there was a left. This was making me think, like, imagine if he lost and it was a liberal Democratic Supreme Court. We would have been in deep danger.
Before I go to Dame Frodo Lives, let me just comment on that real quick, because you make such a good point. I've always maintained that if you have like leftist judges in the Supreme Court, leftist justices, what you end up with are activist justices. And if you have conservative justices, you actually have principled justices. And when I say principled, I mean that they try to rule based on what the law already says, what the Constitution already says, and they're not trying necessarily to make up stuff or rule in such a way that is just partisan, that just gets what the Republicans want, gets what the conservatives want, get what they want personally. No, they act on principle. What is the most rational interpretation of the law as it exists, and how do we conform whatever this ruling is to that law? So they're acting in a neutral way. So I would say conservative justices tend to be neutral, leftist judges tend to be activists. And I think this ruling with the social media stuff sort of indicates that, because what they've done is actually bad for conservatives. But it's hard for me to say whether what they said was what they ruled is wrong, because I'm not a constitutional expert. I can't sit there and tell you. I'm not a legal expert. I'm not a lawyer. So I can't tell you how those laws in Florida and Texas were wrong or right. I can't go through and parse that. I mean, I suppose I could try, but it would be difficult for me. But the Supreme Court, obviously, I believe that they are ruling in a way that they think is right, not just right for conservatives, but right according to the Constitution, right according to the law as it stands. Anyway, with that said, Dame Frodo Lives. What are your thoughts on this particular case? Have you followed it? Did you even hear about this?
I haven't followed it super hard, Chris. I'm not a huge social media person, but the letter of the law versus the spirit of the law. The law, we were talking about that a couple of weeks ago, about what makes this nation different from all the other nations, and that is not just our Constitution, but our application of its laws. Right? Mm-hmm. And what you're talking about right now, that conservatives tend to interpret via the letter, perhaps understanding the spirit of the law behind it, the spirit behind that particular law, and liberals tend to act as activists. And yes, as long as we are not, in my opinion, not interpreting law via the letter of the law, what it says, with a human touch, of course, just a bit. You can't be total jerks about it. But if we're not interpreting the law as it is written, then the door is wide open for corruption. And that's what we're experiencing.
Well, that's right. Yeah. And not only do they not necessarily apply the law as it's written, they will often intentionally distort the law. I mean, look at what happened with the January 6ers. That was another big story. Was they actually came out and said a lot of the way that this particular law was applied. There was a particular law that was applied to January 6ers, where they were basically told, because of this Enron case where they destroyed documents, we're going to somehow apply that to you breaking into the Capitol. So anyone who went into the Capitol, we're going to apply this weird Enron document destruction law, and we're going, a statute, whatever it is, and we're going to put you in prison for 20 years for breaking into the Capitol because we think that your intent was to destroy documents or something, right? And they apply that to Donald Trump as well. And when the Supreme Court said, no, this is a misapplication of this particular law, and you guys are obviously, distorting this for political aims, I think there's going to be a lot of cases that are overturned. I'm not really sure why they haven't been overturned yet, why we haven't seen stories on that. Maybe it's because of the debate. Maybe it's because we got all these other big stories. But that was a huge deal. and it goes to exactly what you were saying. Dame Frodo lives, which I think that your clarity of your show is better, but I don't think we're ever going to get a good camera angle, are we?
What
Jason?
is it? What do you need, bud? What do you need?
Too much.
No, it's just
too much headspace.
you just got too much headroom. I think your camera just wants to be there, which is fine.
It's from team meetings. Too many team.
Too many team meetings. You got it set up. All right, Jason, what do we got for the actual news?
Wait, first of all, I just want to end it. Like, I just wish people would just stick with the Constitution and stick with like the amendments in the Constitution. Even if you're Supreme Court, whatever, like, let's get back to the Constitution and stick with it. Freedom of speech. Okay. Nobody should pay for that in this country. Nobody should nothing should happen to people for speaking what's on their mind. No matter how bad it is.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
Okay, so next story. Biden's campaign says, read the memo. Debate did not change the horse race. President Joe Biden's campaign team released a memo Saturday claiming the octogenarians' underwhelming showing. Octogenarians' underwhelming showing in the first presidential debate for 2024 did not change the horse race. I guess they can lie and
Right. So this is from the Hill, and originally, and the campaign chief delivered a missive stating that the time has come to move on. There was flash polls from CNN, 538, Survey USA, Morning Consult, and Data for Progress, and they show what apparently the Biden team expected, which is the debate did not change the horse race. I'm actually shocked that any of the polls do not show any kind of a distinct difference. There is a poll. This is not a poll, actually. This is a. I don't know if I could find it. I'll go ahead and try to find it. But
I feel like it's. I feel like it's like what I said. Like it's not going to change because I think most people are going to on the Trump train right now. I think they're going to vote for Trump.
Well, right. I mean, there has obviously been a major change. So there was this betting. I don't remember what the site is. I'm gonna have to look it up. But there was this betting average. People bet on Trump and versus Biden. They bet in Las Vegas. They bet on certain websites and stuff like that. And this site looked at what the betting odds were for Trump and Biden, and there was a massive shift. So I don't know about the polls, but there was a massive shift. I don't know. What's your initial take, Dame Frodo lives, on this idea that it didn't change people's minds at all? The debate.
Well, everybody but the liberal media, right? They all of a sudden they were beside themselves. Oh my God, what has happened? What's wrong with him? After just telling us a week before that he was fine, right? Change their minds, I would say. Change their minds. I don't know, you guys. That whole deal did not change the horse race. What, per who? Per Biden? I didn't catch who this was per. But I know that the liberal media certainly changed their minds. They dropped him like a hot potato, didn't they?
Yeah, well, a lot of people in Democrat circles, and we're going to get to this a little bit later, have been talking about how this was a huge disaster. We need another candidate. Like, they wouldn't be talking about needing another candidate if they thought that the debate didn't change anything. So this is some of the most ridiculous gaslighting and spin that I've ever seen. Like, people talk about replacing your guy, dude. Like, obviously people believe that this changed minds, and we don't have proper polls out yet. But since the debate. But as far as I'm aware, maybe they do have some. But I think we're going to see a massive shift. I mean, I can jump on the betting thing real quick. I can look for that. But Jason, what are your thoughts here?
They're just trying to spin it. They know it. I know it changed the thing. If these people haven't woken up, especially the Democrat voters, they haven't woken up, because this debate shown like how the left is, what the Democrats are, the people that are running the Democrat Party. It showed how their party, their people, their leaders are liars. I put this on a X post too. you know, they're masters at manipulation, and you know, and they did it deliberately. They lied to everyone, especially to their own voters, you know. So they lied about this Biden being mentally capable of being president, you know, and it was clear on the debate that he wasn't. So it should change a lot of people's minds, especially on Democrats. Like, finally, because I know they're in a bubble and they don't listen to other news sources or independent news sources. So they were actually witness to it in the debate. They actually finally saw like the truth with their own eyes, you know. So definitely I believe it. Maybe they're not like they're rigging the polls. I don't know, but it should have had a massive effect, which I think it did have a massive effect.
You notice let me jump back in if I may, guys. Sorry. Right after the debate, they went to the man on the street interviews, right? Did y'all see some of that? And
no, I didn't.
They did some man on the street interviews, and a lot of the liberals and Democrats, you could tell they were visibly, what just happened? Right. They were shaken. A lot of them were, you know, not, but there were a few that were certainly shaken, and that's a good thing for us. You know, if we can stop with the gaslighting. I mean, my God, we're being gaslit. Has anybody really thought about the consequences of that entire? That's amazing. That's I saw some reactions from the actual debate that Democrats, they were watching the actual debate, and they were like in total shock. It amazes me that they're in total shock that they didn't realize this. I mean, it was. Come on, it was obvious, but still, whatever. The debate did it, but I was seeing their reactions, and I was like, "Oh, there's something's gonna happen now." Like, yeah.
No, I wrote. I think I wrote a tweet that I said, "I'm shocked that they're shocked because they knew that Biden." I think the shock is less that Biden, you know, is senile, and I think it's more that they allowed Biden to go on stage on one of his bad days, you know, without having given him the normal, I think, amphetamine cocktail that they normally give him. I think that was the real shock. It's like, wow, they actually let him go on, you know, in his sort of like normal state, which is just exposed him as, you know. So, but this is the graph I was talking about. This is the betting averages, and just 60 days ago or 2 months ago, Biden was actually winning over Trump in the betting averages, and you see that at the very end there. You see that complete plummet of Joe Biden, just absolute plummet. And obviously Trump gets a little bit of a bump there. But I have a video that's coming out. It should have actually come out today, but I think that reflects. Cold, so I didn't get it done.
I think that actually reflects reality right there. That graph.
Jason, let me pitch my videos, please. Why would you interrupt that? There's only two important things: pitching our videos, begging for money, and selling my merch. Okay, so there's three.
Like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe.
Yeah, like, share, and subscribe. Exactly. You know, I gotta pitch my crap here, Jason. So I have a video coming out, as I was saying, where I do talk about not only the recent bump, this very immediate bump, but also how I think there is going to be a long-term shift toward Trump and why I think that. And that should have come out today, but I had a bit of a cold, so that will come out tomorrow morning. Sorry, Jason, what were you saying? That you interrupted me
before I was scolded for his promoting himself. No, I was saying like that graph actually I think it reflects reality. I think that's truth right there.
No, of course it is. Of course it is. This is because people who are betting money, people who are betting their own money, they're really paying close attention to what's going on. You know, they're not just gonna like bet nothing. I mean, some people are, of course, but most people who are betting on something are people who have skin in the game. You know, they have their actual money that they could lose. And so people who are betting on this, you know, I think this graph shows it better than any of the polls ever could. But we'll see how it goes moving forward. But I don't understand how they can recover from this at all.
I actually think from the debate, I think Democrats, the Democrat voters, I think they're pissed off at the DNC because there was the opportunity to actually run somebody else. They had that opportunity and they didn't take it, you know. So, and this is just making them look so bad, like So, yeah. I kind of saw the frustration on Democrats.
Well, I've always believed that there is a sort of civil war within the deep state, where some of them are like, no, we need somebody who can win, and others are like, yeah, but one, we can rig it, and two, Joe Biden is the ultimate puppet. He's perfect.
Yeah.
We pull this string, the hand moves. We pull it this way, and he signs whatever we've put in front of him. So, Biden, I think, just does what he's told. And how often do you get a president of the United States of America that is that easily controlled? I don't know. So I think that they're afraid of somebody else getting in there because I think when you're president, you do have a lot of power. And unless you have really firm control over that president, they can go rogue and they can do things you don't like. So I think the people that are in control of Joe Biden, they don't want to lose that control.
Yeah. Somebody wrote, it's funny. Chris, you have a cold, right? But you're able to put two sentences together, right? Somebody wrote that. So that excuse with the cold is really stupid, Chat, I have to give you the credit. That was a good one.
The funny thing about the cold thing is I actually theorized about the cold because, he was talking a little bit weird when he started the debate. And it occurred to me, like, why wouldn't they give him the drugs that they normally give him? And I thought, if he's got some kind of like illness, some kind of an infection, the doctor may have said, look, you cannot give him these drugs. You're going to kill him. Right. So that may be why they didn't do it. That's been my theory all along.
Wait, you don't think he was on drugs?
Well, I know a lot of people say that they
drugged.
No, a lot of people think that it's possible, but a lot of people are like, oh, I saw this indication, that indication. I didn't see an indication he was on drugs at all. I mean, to me, if you think he was on drugs, I was just like, that's just pure speculation.
I think my theory is that they put him on drugs too late, and right now his mentally, I don't think the drugs are going to be are strong enough to work even now at the state that he's in now.
Yeah, like some other people have said that the drugs maybe don't work anymore. I don't think that's true because he was good afterwards. He did some speeches and stuff, and he seemed. I mean, when you say Biden's good, it's not. You know what I mean? He's never.
I think that's when the drugs kicked in. Like, yeah.
Well, I know. I think you texted me before. Like, I think they get, or maybe my brother did. I can't remember. Somebody texted me and was like, I think they gave him the drugs and they didn't kick in until after, because after the debate, he was actually better in like the post debate thing. Yeah,
we spoke about that in the post debate.
But I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think they were able to give him the drugs. Maybe they were able to give him something after the debate. I'm not really sure exactly how that worked, but. Yeah, he did seem more lucid afterwards, which is really weird.
But it's true what they're saying in the chat. The eyes was a great indicator of the drug usage because those how do you call it, dilated eyes and black eyes, and they're like wide open. That for me, that was an indicator of that. Or that could just be dementia. Exactly, Chris.
Yeah,
exactly. Or I don't know, like maybe people that suffer from dementia, that's how their reactions too. So it's confusing. Whatever it is. He shouldn't be president.
Exactly. Whatever it is, I'm terrified, you guys. Our enemies saw that. Y'all were saying, what did you think? That's what scared me the most. And my entire takeaway of that debate was what our enemies saw that night.
Yep.
Well, here's the thing about that. I don't believe for 1 second that our enemies didn't already know that.
Yeah. True. I was just gonna say, I was like, Chris, yeah, I was gonna say, why do you think Russia attacked Ukraine? Because they already knew
exactly.
Biden.
Great point, guys. All right, I feel better.
Yeah, you should. They've known that since Biden first got elected, since he was campaigning, I think. All right, what do we got? What's up next on the docket?
Biden donor in California talks about electing a team, not just one guy. This is an amazing truth that came out by them.
I know.
They're literally saying he's not in charge. It's a team. It's the team behind him that's in charge.
Now, okay, you could interpret this charitably and say, look, every time a president goes into office, he's got a team, right? He's got his cabinet. The office of the president is so big that there's so many different departments. There's so much that he has to do that he can't do everything himself. He's got to rely on a lot of different. He's like a director of a film. Right. the director doesn't do the cinematography. He doesn't do the costumes. He doesn't do the makeup. He oversees all that. He can approve. He can veto stuff, but he doesn't do everything himself. And so you can make that argument. But I think in this particular case, it's like you would like, it's a little bit, to me, it's a little bit suspect to go, just because Joe Biden may not be the best, the most perfect president, that doesn't matter because his team is the best. No, you would much rather have a shaky team and a great president than a shaky president and a great team. You know what I mean? Like, to me, this is a backwards argument. Well, it's okay if the leader of the team isn't so great because the team itself is great. Now, I understand for movies, that can actually be better, and maybe even for the president. But for the confidence of the nation, you actually want the president himself to be perfect, That's what I think. Anyway, what do you think, Dame Frodo Lives? What do you think of this idea?
We need a leader. I think we need a leader. I think that's exactly what you're talking about, Chris. Team, are you kidding? No. I mean, that's what we all loved about Trump the most. No matter all his foibles, anything you didn't like about him coming into the election in 2016, any of that, set it all aside. He was a leader. He got things done. He knew how to put the teams in place, that shaky or otherwise, that it could absolutely get things done. He was a CEO, and this country does need to be run like a business, in my opinion.
Exactly.
And what's
great? Are they talking about electing a team, literally, so that it's more than one person? Or are they talking about the team behind the president? I mean, because that's a whole nother ballgame, right?
They're talking about the team of doctors that need to keep him alive every day.
Well, here's the real.
Give me 1 second, Chris. I just want to talk about your point that you said about the director. Now, let me tell you, Hollywood is being destroyed. It's their movies suck now because they're not letting the director have control like they should. They're depending on the studios, and they're depending on other people to like control. If they would give more control to the directors like they should, movies would be better. So yeah. And I think Chris went out again.
Jason, my battery went out because
okay. So for me, this is a bad look that they would say talking about electing a team, not just, especially at this moment after the debate. It doesn't look good. It's not right. It's suspect. So I mean, it's just bad optics on like, who's the idiot that actually said that? Like here's
the thing about the Biden team, right? Have you guys seen the Biden team? I mean, just take Karine Jean-Pierre as the prime example, right? She's their press secretary, right? She's in charge of communicating between the White House and the press corps.
No, what you see about his team, that's all cheap fakes. Okay, don't believe it. They're the smartest people out there.
I mean, you remember there was that guy that they hired who like dressed up as a woman and stole people's luggage in order to get dresses and stuff?
With the lipstick.
That's the Biden team, right? I mean, the Biden team is a total disaster. Before Karine Jean-Pierre, they had Jen Circle Back Psaki. And let me circle back. I'm gonna circle back.
And don't we have like the Surgeon General? Isn't that messed up in itself right there? The Surgeon General is a trans.
Right.
I mean, how wild is that? You got somebody in charge of our medical system.
Richard Levine. Yeah. Richard Levine, a guy who wears makeup.
That says a lot right there.
And it's so glad that he transitioned after he had his children, but doesn't care about making all our children incapable of having children. That's just
exactly
right.
Amen to that. Yep, you're absolutely correct.
The Biden administration, the team as they call it, is in fact a disaster. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to be a better message. They showcase that team. I think most of America is just going to go, what? All right, let's go on to the next story, Jace.
This is a great one. How much projection is this? This is like lovely here. I couldn't stop laughing when I saw this. Pelosi, Trump likely has dementia.
Wow. Yeah, that's full bore. It's funny. Like I saw this on Twitter, not the Pelosi one, but a lot of other people basically coming out and saying, you notice that Donald Trump is really slow and he's really old, and I don't know if he's capable of being president. This was all before the debate, and I thought that's an insane gaslighting. I believe I was on Newsmax talking about this, and I think I said the words. I read my tweet, which was there's gaslighting, and then there's whatever the hell this is. Because the thing is with gaslighting, I think it's got to be effective, right? Like the concept of gaslighting is you tell people something that's obviously not true, but you convince them of it, right? So you actually convince them of this thing. Telling the country that, oh, it's actually Trump's the one with dementia. No, who's going to believe that?
Especially after that debate.
The left they stopped saying it after the debate, but Pelosi somehow has continued. Look, the left used to be the best at propaganda in the world. I would say since the Soviets, there's been no one as good at propaganda except for the Democrats. Let's go ahead and watch this video because there's a video here. Is this video relevant? Did you see this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. It's her.
Several newspaper editorial boards are just simply calling for Biden to step aside for the good of the country. Tom Friedman, a friend of President Biden's, wrote the following. He wrote, Joe Biden, a good man and a good president, has no business running for re-election. If he insists on running and he loses to Trump, Biden and his family and his staff and party members who enabled him will not be able to show their faces. What do you say to that? Is there any part of you that believes that President Biden should step aside?
I want you to know I came home to California, South and North, and
I think she
people
might have
are
dementia.
for Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. They have some judgment about a person who stood on that stage and lied. If you're just talking about the debate, I'm respectful of some of the opinions.
That's
that people
their line
have,
now.
But I also am respectful of the grassroots. My people are very much Biden, Kamala Harris. And this
can
is
you pause it for a second,
for
Chris?
Joe Biden to go out there and show.
So yeah, that's their talking point now. The whole lie that Trump, all he did was lie. That's angering me. Like, and I spoke to you about this, Chris, too. Like they claim that he lied this, lied that, but they never say the lie. They never say what did he lie about.
No, I know. Well, it's funny. They say, oh, it's better to be honest and slow and have dementia and all this kind of stuff, and not be able to present oneself effectively than it is to lie the whole time. But yeah, like you said, they don't explicitly say what the lies were. Now, I've decided to go in and do a real fact check. You know how there's all these like leftist fact checkers going in? I'm doing a real fact check, not just of Joe Biden, but also of Donald Trump. I'm going and doing a fact check. And that video will be out in 2 days, I hope. And the idea is I'm going to classify their misstatements, right? The things that they get wrong. I'm going to classify them in, I believe, 5 different ways. I don't remember all the ways. I think it's like stuff that they tell the truth about, stuff that they actually lie about, which to me is specifically defined as an intentional deception. Stuff they just get wrong, stuff I think that they've just got wrong by mistake, or if they misspeak. That's something like Joe Biden does this a lot, where he misspeaks. Well, I wouldn't classify that as a lie, I would classify that as just a mistake. And then, and actually things that they just get wrong and misspeaking, I just classify that as the same thing as a mistake. And then I think I have something like, I have a couple other categories. There's hyperbole. I think Trump uses a lot of hyperbole, where he'll exaggerate numbers and he'll say things, it's the biggest in history or something like that. Well, maybe it wasn't the biggest history. Maybe it was one of the biggest in history. Yeah. But, then they classify that as a lie. Well, come on. It was just a little bit of hyperbole. I think it's all right. He's getting the gist of the idea across. And so I have multiple categories. I have about 5 categories, and I'll go through and I'll go ahead and list all the lies. I'll go ahead and list the, absolute truth. I'll go ahead and list I'll go ahead and number these off. What's hyperbole, what's a misstatement or something like that. So to me, this is an appropriate fact check. This is a correct fact check.
Yeah. But you know, it's funny too, like they'll accuse Trump of lying, and like a lot of the accusations about him lying actually comes out to be truth. Like the lie that they claim he said is actually ends up being not a lie.
Right. Well, that's why I'm doing this fact check, and I'm going to do it honestly. I'm not just going to be on Trump's side here. I'm going to do it as honestly and objectively as I can. And in fact, I found myself in one fact that I found Trump had made that was clearly wrong. Like he had exaggerated the number of immigrants coming into America. And I was really torn about whether to say that was a lie or that was an exaggeration. But at the core of it, I believe that Trump was trying to just get the idea across that there was a lot of immigrants that had come over, illegal immigrants. And so to me, this fell into the category of hyperbole. But I actually kind of wanted to label it a lie just to show that I was neutral. And so there is that temptation, to actually err on the side against Trump when I'm doing this myself, just because I want to appear neutral to the audience. But I couldn't, in good conscience, call it a lie. I had to call it hyperbole because that's what I genuinely believe it was. All right, do we want to go ahead and play the rest of this?
Well, I mean, I don't think so. I can't stand this lady.
Well, we didn't get to her point.
Yeah. If you want to continue, go ahead. Just looking at her and hearing
stamina and the rest. And by the way, while the press, and for some reason they don't, there are healthcare professionals who think that Trump has dementia, that his his thoughts do not go together. Not only that he just lies, he doesn't even know the truth. So if we're just talking about mental,
as Rush would say. It's the.
Isn't it just projection? Jason, isn't it just projection? Isn't she just doing exactly what they've been doing, where they're just projecting? He's not lying. Yeah, he's got hyperbole. Yes, he mixes up because he's so freaking smart. He grabs topics from everywhere all at once. Not very many people can do that. He's covering 1,000 subjects at once. She's just projecting about Biden's dementia.
But it's amazing. Like I think she has mental issues too now because.
Well, did you hear how she was speaking? She got
well, she likes the sauce a little,
I think she's drunk. Yeah.
The thing about it is that how can you say that right after the debate? You have to be kind of mentally. There has to be something wrong with your brain because by saying that, her own voters are going to look at her and what did you just see what we saw? It's a complete opposite of what you're saying. Why would you do that? She needs to go too because she's the best thing for Republicans like Nancy Pelosi and Biden right now.
I know it. Yeah, because well, Dame Frodo lives. I think we're going to let you go. It's been amazing to have you on the show. We've had you on a lot longer than I had intended because you're just so charismatic and charming, and you're so knowledgeable about politics, and we love your takes. Is there anything that you want to talk about politics that we haven't jumped into here?
I think the Supreme Court decisions coming down are huge. We talked about the social media one. The other ones are the ones I'm more interested in, honestly. Well, across the board, but free speech, education, we have got to get this thing back together. And thank you so much for letting me be part of this show. I love you guys. I love your show. How's Kurt?
Well,
Kurt? Why isn't it 4 of us? Where is he? Is he okay? Is his grandmother okay?
I was actually planning on texting him this morning, but I got up late and I scrambled to get the show going, and I haven't been able to talk to him.
Well,
but no. So real quick, do you think Trump's going to make it in, and are we going to be able to cut out the cancer of corruption in Washington D.C. and drain the swamp?
Yes.
Oh, I love it. That's such
to be positive. Yes.
I love it. I love how clean that answer was. Absolutely beautiful. Well, Dame Frodo lives. We love seeing you in the chat. It's great to put a face and a voice to the name. What a spectacular woman. I always say that we have the best fans, the best people in the chat. Yeah, go on.
You know, Chris, one night we should have just a panel of 20 people on the screen of
let's do it.
Chat, the people from the chat, and just
I don't know, 20. It might be chaos with 20.
One night, I saw on CNN. It was funny because they had a panel of I think it was 15 people, 15 independents or something like that. And
we're not doing 15. I don't think I can control that many people.
12 of them said that they are going to change their vote and they're probably going to vote for Trump. So I was like, hey, if they could do it, why can't we?
Oh, is that true? Was that after the debate or before the debate?
It was a day. I think a day after.
Wow.
I have to look for that.
Why did you mention that when we were doing the article about how it didn't change the horse race?
I completely forgot. Yeah.
About that. Okay. Well, we got to it eventually. I love it. I call that a Joe Biden moment.
I have lots of those. I have lots of those, and I'm young, so
I have those too. I'm gonna be honest. I have a lot of Joe Biden moments. All right, Dave Frodo lives. We absolutely loved having you on the show.
Thank you.
I would have you on the whole show if I could, but I don't want to give everybody this idea that we'll put people on and then they'll be on the whole show. I think that's
but they'll keep coming back.
I know. Okay, we love you. We love you. Thank you so much for being on the show, and we'll keep reading your chats. All right, chat soon. Oh, she was awesome, wasn't she?
Yep.
Oh my gosh, she was so awesome. All right, Half Power Concrete and Semper Fi Crawfish Company says, I've been sending you super chats that aren't showing up in the chat, but I'm being charged for them. I really hope you're all getting that money. Yeah, we haven't gotten very many super chats today. This is like the second one, so I don't know where they're all going or why this is difficult, but we got another one here. Assassin of the Gray. He says, lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. Okay, so this is this is a quote from Jaws, if you guys don't recognize it. When he comes at you, okay, let me read it correctly. Lifeless eyes, black eyes, like a doll's eyes. When he comes at you, he doesn't seem to be living till he sniffs you, and those black eyes roll over white, and then you hear that terrible screaming. Okay, that's from Jaws. That's my impression. That's my spur of the moment impression.
That was good. But let me tell you.
No, thank you.
That was one of my. You need to come back to the States so we can start shooting some stuff, Chris.
No.
But like that scene is one of my all-time favorite scenes in movies.
Oh, it's great.
Like I love that.
And
scene.
I think that was all like ad-libbed and like spur of the moment sort of thing.
Oh, it was.
Like he was actually drunk. He was actually drunk to do that. I don't know if all of the lines were ad-libbed, but yeah.
I tell everybody, you want to make an intense scene and like a meaningful scene with just like words where somebody's actually telling you a story. Watch that scene in Jaws. Like it's amazing because I'm the one that's usually like show don't tell. But in that scene, it is so amazing. It's one of my all-time favorite scenes. Anyway, let's get back to.
But we're really talking about Biden, right? We're talking about Biden is like an automaton drone at this point. Let's see. G.I. Jose jumped in with $2. He says, "Hey, Dame Frodo." G.I. Jose is the other person in the chat that we've actually had on the show. Loved having you on the show, G.I. Jose. Another awesome guy. All right, and shall we move on to the next story, Chase?
Yes. Joe Biden's team hits back at New York Times for telling him to drop out of race.
Oh yeah. Okay, so did you read this story? Because I haven't read this yet.
Well, the title says it all. It's basically I mean, let's
so no, you didn't read it. Don't give me stuff if you're not reading it.
The last time Joe Biden lost the New York Times editorial board endorsement, it turned out pretty well for him. I guess that's somebody in CNN said. They're trying to like defend Biden.
Wow. Well, that's actually a pretty big deal, though. The New York Times actually said to serve his country, President Biden should leave the race. Holy smokes! But I'm reporting in the video that was supposed to come out today, and it'll come out tomorrow morning. I'm reporting that the Gateway Pundit has pointed out, and I believe that this is from another newspaper, which is reporting it from some kind of like other nonprofit. So it's like a bunch of different people reporting, but. There are several swing states. I think there's 3 swing states in which Biden actually can't drop out. If he drops out, nobody else can replace him legally. The only way, I think in Wisconsin, the only way he could drop out at this point is if he dies. So he can't drop out. In swing states, he will, like the Democrats will lose if Joe Biden drops out. So, yeah, go on.
You want? I could read a little snippet of it.
Yeah, please do.
This isn't a partisan thought. It's a patriotic one. Democrats across the country were privately saying the same thing last night, and some of them on TV, not so privately. Mr. Biden lost the debate in the first 10 minutes as he failed to speak clearly.
Yep.
Did so in a weak voice and sometimes couldn't complete a coherent sentence. His blank stare when Donald Trump was speaking suggested a man who is struggling to recall what he has been prepped for weeks to say, but who no longer has the memory to do it. I mean, that's hard hitting right there.
Not a glowing endorsement exactly.
Yep.
All right, so here's the thing. So this is was that from the Wall Street Journal? Yeah, I think that was from the Wall Street Journal. But anyway, look, Barack Obama actually endorsed Biden, which at first I thought, oh, okay, he endorsed Biden. Like after the debate, he basically said, like, come on, guys, Joe Biden's still our guy. So I thought, well, if Barack Obama is supporting Joe Biden, then he's definitely staying in, right? He's definitely staying in. But according to Tucker Carlson,
yeah,
this was actually not, maybe Barack Obama wrote this, but this was not what Barack Obama really believes. Like this was like a coerced endorsement. Barack Obama has actually gone to the Bidens and said, look, you have to drop out now. You have to. But he posted this in solidarity with Joe Biden just for like the sort of like public appearance of supporting him. He wrote, bad debate nights happen. Trust me, I know. But this election is still a choice between someone who has fought for ordinary folks his entire life and someone who clearly only cares about himself, someone who tells the truth. Okay, this is the line that the Democrats are saying now. Someone who tells the truth, who knows right from wrong and will give it to the American people straight, and someone who lies through his teeth for his own benefit. Last night did not change that, and it's why so much is at stake in November. JoeBiden.com. In fact, this might have been written by someone else.
Yeah.
This may not have been written by Barack Obama, because it actually does sound a little bit like a press release or something that the White House, staff would have written. So my guess is that this was written by someone else, and Barack Obama just sort of begrudgingly posted it on his Twitter. And they texted him and said, can you tweet this? Please, please, please tweet this. He was like, fine. But apparently, according to Tucker, this is not what we can type in Tucker and we'll see what happens.
It's happened. I feel like what I said, what I've been saying for years.
Yeah.
And my wife too has been saying this too. It's what's, I think it's happening. Like every negative thing that this administration did, that these Democrats did, while he was president, the bad economy, inflation, all that stuff, everything he did is going to be put on him. Like it's going to all be it's going to be his fault. And when they put in the new person that's going to run, they're pretty much free from all that negativity. So yeah, I see it coming. I see it coming.
I don't.
I know you still think that, but how can they, man? How can they keep him?
Right. Okay. So I did find the Tucker thing. So let's go ahead and put that up real quick. Although where is it? There we go. Tucker Carlson. All right. This is from an unusually good source. Obama's tweet supporting Joe Biden was disingenuous in private. Obama is telling people that Biden can't win, and he's therefore in favor of an open convention. Obama will not say whom he supports, nor as of yesterday afternoon had he met personally with Biden to deliver the message. Relations between the Obamas and the Bidens have never been warm. At times they've been hostile, but recently they've deteriorated even further, mostly due to Jill Biden. In the hours and days after the debate, she kept her husband cloistered away from anyone who might convince him to drop out. Jill Biden is the driving force behind her husband's re-election campaign, just as she was in 2020, when other members of the family, including Biden's sister Val, considered him too impaired to run. The next generation of potential Democratic candidates understands all this as an opportunity, and they're circling, particularly Gretchen Whitmer, who is promoting herself aggressively. So yeah, so according to Tucker, that Barack Obama post was essentially a lie. Which is pretty typical for Democrats. They tend to lie. Dame Frodo Lives has jumped into the chat and she writes, those guys are so great. Let's support them with more super chats. I second that motion. Thank you so much, Dame Frodo Lives. And thank you for being on the show. And Jason thirds it. All right, let's see here. G.I. Jose jumps in with $5. He says, no matter who takes his place, they will have the exact same politics. They are all in lockstep to fundamentally change America. Yep. Yeah, that's 100% true. And I do think it's more important. Trump came out right after the debate and said, and it was so gracious. I felt like this is so gracious. And he's being so presidential. I absolutely love it. And the reason, because those of us on the right who love Trump, we don't necessarily care that he's presidential. We kind of like that he's a bit of a rogue, that he like says it how it is.
I love it.
Kind of like, yeah, exactly. Like, I love it. But moderates and, very, very strong Christian conservatives and especially like Democrats, they hate how he talks. They hate how he talks. And they're like, their big argument is that he's not presidential. He's not presidential. Well, you know what he's doing now? He's being presidential. So I just want to say, like, after the debate, Trump came out and he said, look, it's not the worst part of Joe Biden's candidacy is not actually his personal deterioration. It's his policies. It's the policies that are destroying this country. And I love that he said that. I love that he said that. And that's such an important thing because, like G.I. Jose says, they're not going to pivot on the policies. Yeah, sure, you might get somebody who speaks better, but they're still going to implement the same BS crap policies that are destroying America, whether it's Whitmer or Gavin Newsom or Kamala or, who they're not even considering at this point, apparently, or, whoever goes in, it's still going to be the same Joe Biden policy.
It's going to be scorched earth if they win the presidency again. This 4 years, I think they're gonna go all in. I think they were scared. I think they're getting scared, and you can see it the way they're reacting to everything. So it's gonna be scorched earth this next 4 years. And on the point of Trump, go ahead.
Jesus, as I think you're ending, I try to do another super chat, but you jump it. You try to continue. MMA Fix jumps in and he says, you know what, guys? I've decided I'm not going to guest on Monday. There's no way I can follow that. Dame Frodo Lives is awesome. I think you'll be fine, MMA Fix. We're going to try to have you on ASAP. Send me a DM on Twitter and give me your email address so we can have you on Monday. I think that would be great. What do we say, Jason?
I was going to say on the point of Trump being presidential. So we already know Trump can be who he is. We already know that side of Trump. And I know when he's president, he's going to be like that with the world leaders, and he's going to be the Trump that we know. So, but I think he needs a show. I think this is a great strategy. I think he needs a show, like you said, the independent voters. The people are kind of iffy about it. That he's actually can be presidential. He can control himself. He's not the.
Well, because people believe what they want to believe. And so if the mainstream media says Trump is unhinged and Biden is totally like sane and has all his faculties and is as sharp as he ever was, and he's the best Biden that we've seen, a lot of people believe that crap until they're shown like the raw truth, right? They have to be shown the raw truth. This has to be illustrated to them, right? Clearly. And with Biden, we saw that illustration on Thursday. But we also saw that, Trump illustrating himself as presidential. And we see that over and over again now. And so these people need to see it in order to believe it. We know that Trump can be presidential when he wants to, but they don't believe it. And so he's got to illustrate that. And he did that on Thursday, I think. And he's continuing to do so.
Someone asked in the chat, who would they choose if it's not going to be Biden? You know who I always said they're going to choose.
Yeah.
Michelle Obama. That's the only way that I think is a possibility that I would be scared is a possibility that could beat Trump. And anybody else, I don't think so. I don't.
You know what? Here's the thing. People like you, other people on like Twitter, like I would say, regular folks who follow politics closely, they say Michelle Obama. And the reason they say Michelle Obama is because they're like, that's the most logical choice because it's the person that they think that the left will get behind and they will love her, right? And Newsom, is anyone gonna like love Newsom? No. Whitmer is annoying and she's got that nasty, annoying voice, and like she's sort of a mean-spirited person. So yeah, like she's the best. Like Michelle Obama is the most likable person that they have, but political pundits, they don't really talk about Michelle. Why don't they talk about Michelle? Because nobody really thinks in terms of like people who know the Obamas and who know what's going on in DC believe that Michelle Obama has any interest in doing it. And in fact, is actually dead set against it. And so that's the reason. Like people are like, okay, who wants it? Who's really being put up? Who's really in the running for it in terms of like what's actually going on in DC? And nobody is talking about Michelle. So the reason that we talk about Michelle is because she's the logical choice. But the reason the pundits don't talk about Michelle is because they know she's probably never going to do it. I mean, there's just no talk in Washington about Michelle.
Which is perfect. Like I find that as a positive on her end. Like the fact that everybody's saying she doesn't want to do it. And the other thing, like nobody's talking about her, so she's not in the news, so there's no negativity or positivity going her way, So, I mean,
once you actually run as a candidate and people see who you actually are and what your positions are, and you actually have to get in, because Michelle Obama has the benefit of really just talking very seldomly in, at events that she wants to talk about without much scrutiny from the media. Once she gets in, she's going to have so much scrutiny. Everybody's going to scrutinize every word that she says. And we're going to see a very different Michelle Obama. So the reason that we like Michelle Obama is because she hasn't been scrutinized at all. She really benefits from that. Whitmer a little bit more so has been. Newsom definitely has been scrutinized. So that's why these people have more of a balanced view of them.
Yep.
Whereas with Michelle Obama, it's just nice things. She's on the cover of magazines with pretty dresses and, trying to look elegant. But no, there's nothing bad to say about her at this point. But
yeah, I think it all works in her benefit. Like she doesn't have to do debates. She doesn't have to like do anything. They could do what they did with jump with Joe Biden during the last election. Pretty much keep her hidden. Just certain
until the last minute
speaking moments. I'm sure she'll do much better than Joe in filling up a stadium. So I think the optics are there for her. Like, and the Democrats, they love her. The Democrats love her. They love Obama. Let's face it. And I think there'll be some independents too, or some people are iffy that might say, hey, her husband was Obama, and hey, she's black, she's female,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, she ticks a couple of boxes.
We could argue the female part, but yeah. So I think that's the best bet
because in the world.
Because the other person I can think that they would possibly put is Hakeem Jeffries. Is that how you call it?
The Speaker of the House, or not Speaker,
yeah.
minority leader, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the only possibility that they have. He's a black man, so and I don't know, he's kind of popular with the Democrats, so that's the only other person I can think of. Newsom, terrible record in California. Whitmer is like just unlikable. She's like a Hillary.
I can't believe I called him the Speaker. He's the one they want to be Speaker. Yeah.
And Hillary, I know she's vying for it too. But the thing that gets me though, like, here's the thing. I was thinking about this and with Biden, and I think Biden is actually, no matter how crazy he is, I think he's really fighting against this. And I think the person behind keeping him like wanting to run or wanting to stay in power is his wife. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. Well, that's what
and
Tucker
also his
said.
son.
There's a lot of people reporting on that.
His son is probably begging him, please. You need to be president again, or I'm going to go to prison.
Is that the next? Is that the next story we got? Actually,
we can go to it though if you want.
Yeah, let's do it.
Start talking about. So, report: Hunter Biden, one of the strongest voices, urging Biden to remain in presidential race.
Right.
And yes,
I'm sorry about these weird ads. I don't know why they're like, they got this dumb ad for eye drops, and then they've got this this picture of Heidi Klum kissing her husband's seal from like probably 20 years ago or something. And it's really annoying. And then this guy with a tea bag on his face. Okay, Breitbart, you got to get better ads. Your ads are really annoying. Really annoying. But yeah, sorry about that. So Hunter Biden, apparently, now I assume you didn't read this story either, but he is apparently one of the strongest voices. What's weird about this to me is like, I guess probably it's because of the money. It's got to be, right? So they keep that money train coming. Is that what do you think it is?
Why he wants him in?
Yeah.
No. I think he's scared to death that if they lose, their family is going to be
for the rest of his life.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I don't know why I didn't think of that. Okay, now I feel stupid. Another Joe Biden moment. Yeah, of course that's why. Let's see. It says here,
Chris, come on. According to the chat, you're the smart one. Come on.
Yeah, you guys are so wrong. Okay, one of the strongest voices imploring Mr. Biden to resist pressure to drop out was his son, Hunter Biden, whom the president has long leaned on for advice. Really? Really? Long lead? I mean, is that true? I just thought that was like a talking point. Said one of the people informed about the discussions who, like others, spoke on condition of anonymity to share internal deliberations. Hunter Biden wants America to see the vision of his father that he knows, scrappy and in command of the facts, rather than the stumbling, aging president Americans saw on Thursday night. No, Jason is 100% right. He wants to stay out of prison. Dad, if you don't run again, I might be in a little bit of trouble. Dad.
Yeah.
And if I'm in trouble, you're
Dad,
in trouble.
If I go down, you're going down.
Yeah, I don't think you understand how this works, Dad. You gotta stay in. You gotta stay in the office here. But yeah, I think they're done no matter what. Like, I mean, the best bet actually is to get somebody else running. I think Hunter's best bet is to get somebody else running. Whoever it is, Newsom, whoever, and have them pardoned for everything. So they would have Biden pardoned for everything. They would have Newsom pardoned for everything. I think that's their best bet. If they could get somebody else to win. Because the thing is, they don't actually need somebody to win. They just need somebody to get close enough so that they could believably cheat.
Yeah.
Right? That's really what they need.
That's what I'm saying. Like they have to put somebody else in now because even if they
but
cheat
they won't.
With Biden, but
I don't think they can legally.
I have to look into that deeper. But I thought he could drop out.
Post a video tomorrow so you can see it.
But that's the thing, like the whole dropout thing. He's not gonna. I don't think Biden will drop out, and I don't think Jill will allow him to drop out.
Right?
Like, no, it's. So
they may not trust that somebody like Newsom will pardon them. It would have to be a thing where they went, okay, we're going to drop out. You're going to be the nominee, but we're only going to do this if you commit to pardoning us. And in fact, we're going to have you sign a contract or something like that. There will have to be some control over the guy that they bring in. They would have to have some, I think that some confidence that would happen. All right, should we move on to the next one?
Yep. Rob Reiner co-hosted a watch party for Biden-Trump showdown. Now he admits debate was a disaster for Biden. That's big. That's a big one right there.
Again with the Heidi Klum seal ad. What the hell, Breitbart? Okay. Well, yeah, Rob Reiner is a kind of an insane lefty kind of guy. So much so that his admission states the following. Last night's debate was a disaster for President Biden, but the choice is still crystal clear. We either can choose a good, decent man who cares about his fellow citizens and knows how to govern, or a convicted felon who will destroy our democracy. Not a tough choice. These Hollywood lefties are nuts.
But that's like crazy. Like, I mean, if the Democrats don't see that and are like, man, our side is a bunch of lunatics. Because if there was a Republican president and this was happening, man, I'd be like, this is crazy. This is lunacy. What's going on here?
Yeah. What are we doing? Well, what's funny?
People actually see what went on in the debate, and they're still convinced to vote. I guess the saying that they say all the time, they'd rather vote for a rock than Trump, is true.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for real. Yeah. Rob Reiner is not the only Hollywood celebrity to come out in support of Joe Biden after the debate. I mean, they came out in force. I'm going to put a few tweets up in the video that's going to be posted tomorrow morning, so stay tuned for that. And it is it's astonishing what these people are saying. I mean, it's amazing to me. People are still so supportive of Joe Biden after everything. Oh my gosh, I got to work so much today. I got so much work to do. I need coffee. Jason. Maybe I could. I have a guy that can make me coffee, and actually, probably he would walk it over here. Actually, but I'm not going to have him do that. That's the great thing about Bali is like it's sort of like like colonial Africa, where the rich people in Britain would come to Africa, or the rich people in the Netherlands, or whatever it is, the colonizing territory or the colonizing country. Would go to, and they would have these essentially servants that would work for them in the colonies. That's what Bali is. Bali is like it doesn't matter how much money you make. If you're from Europe and you make even a little bit of money, you're treated like a prince here. You're treated like royalty. It's completely mental. This is why it's difficult for me to leave. But anyway, all right, let's move on to the next story.
Trump had good moment when he noted Russia didn't invade under Trump, did under Biden.
Yeah, I don't like Bill Maher. The reason that Bill Maher kind of gets attention as potentially like a smart person or somebody who thinks independently is because he markets himself that way.
Yep.
Right. So what he does is he's like a strong leftist, essentially. He's a
Yes.
big advocate of marijuana legalization. That was his main issue for a long time. And he marketed himself as a sort of independent-minded person, more of a libertarian than a leftist, but like a left-leaning libertarian.
Yep.
And he would occasionally say, oh, the Republicans are right about something, or the Democrats are wrong about something. And he does that specifically to make himself seem neutral and smart and stay in the news, right? If he says something contrarian to the left, he gets in the news. That's what happens. And people like, Jason here fall for it and put him on my show. So let's see here.
I hate the guy.
Yeah, I hate this guy too. But let me go ahead and read this real quick. He said, let me read this. Bill Maher stated while he thinks Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran want 2024 Republican presidential candidate, former President Donald Trump, to beat Joe Biden, which I don't. Why would any of our enemies, why would anyone in the world prefer Trump? If you're scared of America, if you're an enemy of America, if you're in any way, I would say not necessarily an enemy, but in any way you are in competition with America, why would you ever want Trump? Trump is going to destroy you. Of course they don't want Donald Trump. Of course, I don't want Trump over Biden. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. So again, Bill Maher is a moron. Okay. Yep. In the election, Trump did have a good moment when he pointed out that Russia took land from Ukraine when Biden was VP. I mean, this is such an obvious point. Maher began by saying that Trump and Biden got into it a little bit last night about foreign affairs and the growing strategic alliance that is going on between what I would call dictator countries, Russia, China, North Korea, Iran, and all those countries like Trump, and they want him to be president. Not true. Not true. It's so crazy to me how deranged and delusional leftists are.
Yeah.
You want your enemy, America, to be run by somebody who's competent, who's one of the best negotiators in the world, rather than a vegetable? No, of course you want the vegetable. Who do we want running Russia? A vegetable. Who do we want running China? A vegetable. Who do we want running North Korea? A vegetable. Way better than a smart leader. Our enemies, we want to be run by vegetables, and their enemies, they want to be run by vegetables, obviously. He added, I think Trump had a good moment when he said Putin took land under Biden. He took land under Obama, but he wouldn't do it under me. Yeah, I mean, Trump's been saying that for a long time. Bill Maher kind of cops onto things very, very late. This guy, Cenk Uygur, Cenk Uygur, the Young Turks guy, the fat fucking piece of crap, who said that bestiality should be legal and perfectly acceptable. He posted the other day that George Orwell's book 1984 and Big Brother basically telling people not to believe their own eyes and stuff like that, and trying to change history and all that. He's like, this perfectly illustrates the Democrat Party right now.
That's wild.
And everybody in the comment section was like, "Oh, welcome to the party, man! Like you're like 10 years too late, but welcome." Yeah.
He's a right winger now.
Yeah, hilarious. Yeah, they'll probably classify him that way. But like, I think I wrote something like, imagine if this guy just followed one conservative account on X. Just one, right? He would have saved himself the humiliation of recognizing this, this 1984 thing 10 years too late. You know what I mean? He's just coming to this reality. Oh, holy crap! You know what? Yeah, no kidding, dude.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. So a lot of these guys who kind of like market themselves as being in the middle or thinking for themselves or being independent, they're not really. That's just their marketing.
I think the closest you could come to a real independent person in the media is oh my god, brain freeze.
Okay, Joe. There are a few guys that were, I think, that were at one point
Tucker.
very much.
I'm sorry, Tucker Carlson.
I thought you said something else there for a second. Okay.
No. Tucker
Sounded
Carlson.
less like
that's
a
the one that
team.
yeah.
Well, but that's the thing. Tucker Carlson is independent-minded. He doesn't agree with everything that a lot of conservatives agree with. He's got his own ideas about stuff. He actually kind of shifts conservative thinking his way a lot of times. So conservative thinking becomes Tucker Carlson thinking. But yeah, he is independent-minded. But I would say there were a few guys that were very much independent-minded guys when they first sort of entered the public sphere of political analysis, political discussions. One was like, I would say, Jordan Peterson. One was what's his name? Rubin of the Rubin Report. What's his name? Something Rubin.
Yeah, I know who you're
Dave.
talking about.
Dave Rubin. Dave Rubin. There was a few guys like that. Joe Rogan was like that. And now all those guys are considered like right-wing extremists, right?
And the actor. What's the actor's name? With the long hair. He was a really liberal leftist.
Okay, from now on, we only name people after we've come up with the name. Okay, this is the new rule on the show. We don't go, hey, you know that one guy? Oh, give me 10
minutes. In the chat. The British actor that's like on you.
The British YouTube actor. Now. Okay, yeah. Russell
Brand. Yeah, he. That was a dramatic change right there. I feel he's like the real independent.
Okay, so this is the point I'm trying to make, is you get guys like Dave Rubin, you get guys like Russell Brand, you get guys like Joe Rogan, you get guys like Jordan Peterson, and these people aren't necessarily politically right-wing, I would say. They're not even conservative. They're not even Republicans. Oh, yeah, Elon Musk, another perfect example. And Elon Musk actually classifies himself as like a strong Democrat before, recent times. And the thing is, once these independent-minded people start looking into politics, what happens to them, Jason? They all become conservative. Why? Because this is the thing. It's like the Supreme Court justices. People seem to think that right and left means that there's people that think this way and there's people that think that way, and the truth is probably somewhere in the middle. But I actually think that is a logical fallacy. I think that the truth is actually on the right. And there are, I would say, far-right extremists. I don't know if it's actually far-right, but people that are sort of labeled that way, like white supremacists and stuff like that, I wouldn't even consider them
they're not even. I would not say that because they're not conservative. They're not right-wing.
So what I would say is,
because white supremacists for a long time were Democrats. I mean, they still are. I mean,
if you look at certain policies that we advocate, like smaller government, right? What is the sort of extreme right? If you follow that to its logical conclusion, it becomes anarchy, right? So I think far right, if you're going to say what is far right, I would say it's anarchy. And I would say if you go that far, then you're getting into some territory that I would say is a little bit, some of the ideas about that are good, like extreme libertarian ideas, I think are good, but a lot of that stuff I think is actually bad for the country. And then you go too far left, which I think is just mainstream leftist ideas, right? And if you go between those two extremes, then where do you end up? You end up in just conservatism, right? And to me, there's truth and then there's BS, and you get BS to the right and you get BS to the left. But if you get to the middle, to all the actual truth, I think it's primarily conservative ideas, conservative policies, conservative interpretations of the world, of the country. And so I think this idea of, well, I don't want to be right or left. I want to be in the middle. So I'm going to take a little bit of both. I think that's a logical fallacy. You're not going to end up finding truth if you go in between conservative ideas, which I think are right, and leftist ideas, which I think are nuts. If you go in the middle of that, what are you going to be? You're just going to be kind of wrong.
Yeah. Especially now, there's a clear, you can clearly see right from left, wrong from right.
Yeah.
So there's a clear choice. Like me, I'm not registered as a Republican, and I'm not registered as a Democrat. I'm an independent. Right. But I always say I will never vote for a Democrat, and I'm a conservative. So,
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. These guys, but unlike you, these guys were never conservative. All the guys that I listed were never quote unquote conservative. They were always, I would say, even leaning left or leftists. But they were independent-minded people, And what happened? They all shifted to the right. And you never
Yeah.
hear that about a right-wing person who is independent-minded that shifts left. The only people that you hear do that kind of thing are these never Trumper lunatics in the sort of like establishment Washington, D.C.
Well,
why are they
they
becoming leftist?
Yeah, because they have skin in the game. I mean, they're it's a money thing for them. So
right, they have other reasons why they become leftist. It doesn't have anything to do with policy. It has everything.
And they were
to do
never
with,
conservatives. You know what I mean?
They may have been coerced.
Where the money went.
Exactly, rhinos and stuff. All right, let's go to the next story.
So, Ashley St. Clair posted on X. Community Notes has brutalized Kamala Harris. It's beautiful.
Oh, this is a friend of mine, Ashley St. Clair. I mean, I know her vaguely. We hung out once at a CPAC. She's a cool chick, actually. I like her quite a lot. She was a little worried about me when I confronted Nick Fuentes and his gang, because Nick Fuentes was there with like 20 guys. And I was like, all right, let's have a little impromptu debate right here. And so we started talking. And Ashley St. Clair, I could see her in the background going like, Chris, there's too many of them. There's too many of them. Just walk away. And I'm like, I'm fine. I'm good. I got this. She was great. But anyway, Community Notes has brutalized Kamala Harris. And this is a great post because she is so right. She posts some of the best stuff on Twitter, by the way. If you're not following Ashley St. Clair and you're on X, you should do so. By the way, Elon Musk always retweets her stuff, right? Elon Musk and Donald Trump retweets, or used to retweet when he was on Twitter, my friend's stuff, like stuff on my friends' post. And I thought, okay, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, you guys are all retweeting my friend's stuff. Why don't you ever retweet my stuff? Tear, all right. Community Notes has brutalized Kamala Harris. Donald Trump would ban abortions nationwide. And of course, this is not true. He's never said anything of the kind. In fact, I think he said the opposite when he was on stage there on the debate. President Joe Biden and I will do everything in our power to stop him and restore women's reproductive freedom. And then, of course, X jumps in and with the Community Notes and says, President Trump has repeatedly said he will not sign a national abortion ban.
Yeah.
And then Natalie Danielson comes in and says, mostly peaceful Community Note.
Yeah, and Elon Musk even commented on that like Elon Musk said he clearly said he would not do so in the debate. Like, so,
on Kamala, let's click on Kamala Harris's thing and we'll check.
I don't think it's. I think they got rid of it. I think they got rid of that.
Right.
Elon,
yeah, exactly. That's right. Yeah, in the debate, I believe. Yeah, and I didn't see it I don't remember it in the debate, but
yeah. First was Elon Musk making.
Oh, here it is, right here. Yeah. I mean, but he said, and then
there's also a tweet. I don't know. I gotta look for it where Elon Musk said like, these people aren't learning. Like, you can't lie like that on X.
Well, look, a lot of people think we should have a national abortion ban, and that's a debate that we can have, of course, but in terms of Roe versus Wade, like, I think that the left has really gaslit the American people, or just lied to them, propagandized their voters, Democrat voters, into convincing them that what the Supreme Court did was to remove protections from women nationwide by removing Roe versus Wade. What really happened was they said, look, this is a decision that should be made state by state. The federal government, in creating this national abortion rights thing with Roe versus Wade, they essentially overstepped their authority, right? There's certain laws that we have that are basically based in our Constitution, and we have federal statutes and all this kind of thing. But for the most part, laws are supposed to really be written by the states. They're supposed to be written by the states, enforced by the states, and dealt with at the state level, most laws. And so when you arbitrarily create laws at the federal level, that sometimes is unconstitutional if they're not necessary. And so the Supreme Court just said, look, it's not necessary. We don't need to make a federal abortion law. And therefore, Roe versus Wade, canceled, right? And so you're creating this state law situation as opposed to a federal law situation. And that's all it is. That's all it is. It really doesn't have anything so much to do with abortion. It has to do with the sort of technicality of how you apply laws and how you set laws in America. That's all it is. And so people are freaking out about that. And they're saying, oh, now they're going to have a national abortion ban. Well, if they had a national abortion ban, that would literally contradict the whole point of the removal of Roe versus Wade. That would contradict it completely. So they're basically saying the conservative position, which was you need to take it back to the states, is the opposite of the conservative position, right? It's totally nonsensical, but that's how
that's why the other talking point now. First, it's there's two major talking points they have now after the debate. One is that Trump lies like crazy, and the other one is they're pushing the abortion ban like crazy.
Yeah, that's
because they know that's how they're going to get white liberal and black liberal lefty women. You know, they know that that's a winning strategy. And I wish Republicans would stop with that. Like, just stop it, man. If they want, I'm against it. I hate it. I don't like it. I think it's murder. But if they want to murder their babies, you know, and let them, like, eventually the world will realize this is wrong, you know. But just stop.
Yeah, let's just have a new law where you, if you're a Democrat, you're actually required to abort your children. That's a joke. That's a joke. Don't get mad at me. It's a joke. All Democrats required to, you know, it's funny. Actually, if that was proposed, they'd be like, "That's racist." You know, they would say that.
Eventually, black women are going to realize. I think that one day they're going to wake up and realize, okay, they're killing off our babies by the millions.
Some do. Some do. You see them on Twitter,
but not enough.
Like realizing it. It's amazing.
That's not enough for sure. Give it time. Give it time. Slowly, you put it into the culture, and you know, and maybe it'll have an effect. But right now, like, just lay off that subject, man. Just stop. I would say continue saying. I would say to Republicans, just continue saying that you don't support a ban. It's up to the states, and that's it. Keep it like that and change the subject.
Yeah. Just change the subject.
And they got to clearly say we do not support a ban.
I really want to move on to the next subject, but I will say this real quick. When I was younger, not even younger, I don't know. This might have been like 3 or 4 years ago. I literally ran into a friend of mine randomly at CPAC who is a Democrat. And I was like, "What the hell are you doing here?" And he goes, "Oh, my wife happens to be going to a convention in the same hotel building in a different conference room for ophthalmology. She was at an ophthalmology conference. So, like, one of my good friends from college, who I know, he was my best friend in college, actually. His wife had an ophthalmology conference. So he and his family were all there. And by his family, I mean his parents and everything. Like, everybody was there. And I know his parents well. So I was like, holy crap. So they all took me to dinner and everything. And we went to dinner and hung out. And his mom, for some reason, she wanted to talk politics with me because, you know, I'm a politics and everything. And she said something about how, you know, conservatives want to control women's bodies, and we want to, you know, basically we're anti-feminist and all this kind of stuff with abortion. And I said to her, listen. I'm not going to try to convince you that abortion is an evil thing or something like that. I know you'll never believe that. You think it's a cluster of cells and it doesn't, and all that. That's what leftists believe. But try to consider this. Try to consider that maybe that conservatives don't really care about controlling women's bodies or the feminist question or anything like that, but rather they just genuinely believe that the fetus has the same value as a baby after birth, born after birth. And so they think that if you destroy the fetus, you're committing an act of murder, and they want to protect the fetus. And if conservatives really, truly believe that, then they're not actually nasty, vicious people that are anti-feminist. Maybe they're just trying to save babies' lives. You ever consider that? Maybe they're not bad people. And she's like, no. And I'm like, yeah, but it's true. And her husband was like, honey, I mean, it might be true with some people. She's like, nope, not true. She was like so hardcore against me. And I was just like, but it is true though. I mean, this is true. They won't even think about that as a possibility because it's such an ugly question, right? It's such an ugly thing. The idea that if you commit an act of abortion, you're killing a baby. That's such an ugly thing to talk about. That's such an ugly thing to say. They don't even want to think about that, right? So they just skip over that whole conversation and they go straight to, you hate women, because it's a much,
exactly,
it's much easier argument to win. All right, let's move on to the next one.
Libs of TikTok.
I probably shouldn't have told that story if I'm honest, but yeah, go.
Libs of TikTok. Why is everything Kamala does so fake and cringe? Yeah.
Oh, this is unbelievable. I don't know what they were thinking making this, but let's have a look. This is astonishing. Okay, hold on. Let me turn the I'm gonna replay that just so you can hear the cringe one more time. This is Kamala Harris saying,
Wait.
They not like us. This is
yeah.
Kamala Harris playing a black woman. Hold on.
It's incredible.
These extremists, as they say, they not like us. No, they not. There's
I mean that is like that's blackface right there. These people, man, it's incredible.
I know. Well, I mean, even if you can argue that Kamala Harris is some percentage black because her father's Jamaican, right? Culturally, she is not black. She's the least black person on earth, culturally. But she puts on this sort of like, I don't know, Blackanese accent every once in a while to try to sound more.
What gets me is like
hip hop.
I don't think black women. I don't. Do they even watch like what's going on? Because don't they realize like what they're doing when they try to act like them or try to act black or something like that?
It's embarrassing.
It's so patronizing. Patronizing. That's the right word, right? I mean, it's. I mean, for me,
patronizing, but
totally patronizing. Yeah, that is total blackface right there, and it's so you can see it. I mean, come on, people.
It's weird. It is so weird. But okay, so Kamala Harris did this thing. I'm going to post this on Twitter. I don't. It's been a while since I've seen it. You know what? Maybe I'll look for it. Yeah, I'm going to look for it. But Kamala Harris consistently does cringe things. Like her thing about the Venn diagrams. What the hell was that?
Yeah. No, not only that. The time she was talking with the kids about space and all that. I'm like, what is this woman saying? Yeah. Like half the time, it's just a bunch of words put together, and I think she's just trying to talk smart, speak smart, and like presidential smart, but it comes out really just dumb and like I think the kids in that one space thing, I think they were smarter than her actually.
The space thing, yeah, she did this whole bit. I think it was on the Daily Show or something. I don't remember exactly, but it was horrible. It was horrible. Let me go ahead and play this. This is just like 10 seconds of it or something like that. 7 seconds of it, but it's shocking. I'm going to go ahead and post the whole thing on Twitter because it's hilarious, but watch this.
And as always, Wakanda forever. Paid for by Kamala Harris.
That was a real thing. That was just the very, very last moment of it. But she did this whole Wakanda forever thing, and it was the worst. I don't know who produced it or like who shot it and cut it together or whatever. I think it was for the Daily Show. I'm gonna have to go find it again. But oh my gosh, it was terrible. It was the dumbest, most cringy thing.
I think I remember one where she was saying that thing that does the thing.
Jason, if I try to read a super chat, give me a second.
Go on, read it.
James Frodo lives, jumps in with $2, says just says simply, they not like us. Okay, sorry for the interruption. Continue.
No, I was just saying, like, there was one speech where she was like saying something about the thing is like, man, we have to have one day. We have to one show. I have to like just bring up all her. I have to edit a video with all the stupid things these people say.
Do it. I'll post it on my YouTube channel and make money off of it. Yeah, perfect. Kamala Harris says some really dumb stuff. I mean, the stuff that Kamala Harris comes out with is unbelievable. The word salads, and now this new one.
Notice how they stop. Notice how they stop putting her out there. But as soon as the disaster debate happens, they're like, we're gonna have to.
Good point.
Yeah, they're like, we're gonna have to put her out there. So maybe we could get away with it this time because they kept her quiet.
How awful is it that they've got to trot out Kamala Harris as their like not senile one, but they forget that she's unbelievably cringe. I mean, let's just put it out there. Kamala Harris is not going to be winning any Oscars for this performance. Hey, Ketanji Ketanji Jackson is. Well, I don't know what this woman's name is. Ketanji Jackson is the Supreme Court justice.
Taj.
Taj. I don't know. Whatever her name is. She's like, hey, you're a good friend of mine, right? Cool. Like it's like the worst acting I've ever seen.
It's sad too,
and actually, her acting wasn't even the actress's acting wasn't particularly good in this.
I liked her. She was in a show called Person of Interest with Jesus,
Mm.
the guy that played Jesus. What's his name? Caviezel.
Yeah, Caviezel.
Oh, that was a really good show. Yeah, it was a really good show. But man,
no, actually, I think she's a good actress. I don't have any problem with her at all. There are some black actresses that I think are super overrated that I really can't stand, like the chick from the what are those movies? Suicide Squad. She's like running the Suicide Squad. You know who I'm talking about? That chick.
Oh yeah. I know exactly.
Everything.
Yeah,
everything she's in, she kind of sounds the same. She's got this sort of dull, her eyes are half closed and everything. And I don't get it. I don't get why she's considered this great actress. I mean, she's not. She's okay, I guess, in some parts.
That worked. There was a couple movies that I remember she was in that kind of work, that way of acting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But, in some roles, she could get away with it. That character will be fine. But like she plays the same kind of character and everything, and it doesn't work for a lot of roles. And I just don't get why she's so acclaimed as this amazing actress.
Yeah.
Whereas this chick is actually, I think, better.
I guess they're trying to make like a black version of Morgan Freeman. But
you mean a black version? A black version. I think you mean
a female version. I'm sorry.
Could you imagine? Hold on, Jason. Imagine this: a black Morgan Freeman. How crazy would that be?
Because I don't see Morgan Freeman as black. I don't see a color with
freckles.
him. You know,
it's the freckles.
When I watch a movie by him, I'm not thinking that. Like,
no, Morgan Freeman isn't a black man. Morgan Freeman is just Morgan Freeman.
Exactly.
But that's actually how we should see everybody.
Viola Davis. That's it. Viola Davis.
Viola Davis. Thank you for that in the chat. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, has jumped in and he writes, imagine a speak and spell with predictive text from a fourth grader wearing knee pads. That's Kamala Harris in a nutshell. That's such a good description. Oh my God, that was so eloquent as well. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, you are a brilliant sweaty fat guy, let me tell you. Yeah, that was great.
Right. We can move on to the next one because it has to deal with this too. So
okay, let's do it.
So in the BET Awards, imagine if there was a WET Awards, White Entertainment
Taraji, hold on. Let me try to read this because it's actually written here. Taraji P. Henson. That's her name. Okay, Taraji P. Henson.
Isn't that wild?
I shouldn't get her name wrong.
The first name doesn't compare at all to the last name.
Yeah, Henson's normal. But let's be honest, like, it's a difficult name. Like, if you don't say this girl's name often or you don't, she's not like on a show you watch or something, it is a little bit difficult. Okay?
Chris, you need to get out and hang out with more blacks. Come on, man.
Okay.
Get out there. Come on.
People are actually named Taraji. It's probably like 3. So
you'll be surprised.
Black people like to have these like very unique names that nobody else has. They'll like change it. Instead of Jason, it'd be like Justonsky or something. I don't know. They'll come up with something.
I get it. They want to go away from the whitest possible names.
Is that what it is?
Cool. Yeah, I mean,
it's racism against whiteness. Yeah.
But
okay. Apparently she's had an unhinged meltdown.
Yep. You gotta just
or
play
it's a fake meltdown. I'm not seeing this. Okay, I've not seen this. So let's see. Okay, I just talked about how I will say that the abs are makeup. Look at her abs; are makeup. They put makeup on her abs.
300. The 300. They learned from
exactly the 300 technique. Yeah.
You know what's funny though is like, I think she doesn't realize she's promoting Trump. Like these people are promoting Trump, but like the drafting is a Democrat policy that they're trying to push. It's not the Republicans that are pushing that. So I don't understand where she's coming from. Like,
and by the way, the whole concept of homelessness being illegal. Okay, first of all, homelessness is not illegal. Go to LA, right? Secondly, I think everyone in that audience is like, oh, that's a good idea. Who came up with that idea? That's a good idea. We should make homelessness illegal. I mean, if you walk downtown LA, you're like, please make homelessness illegal. Please.
The minute they walk out of that stadium, wherever that show was, and all the homeless people around them, they're gonna be like, wow, that was actually a good idea. Maybe I should support Trump.
What is this? What is this Project 25? I gotta look into this. This sounds like some good stuff. Yeah.
I think
25. Yeah,
25. I think that's the one where they're saying like where they already know they got to fire everybody and bring in all these other people, and I think that's what it is. I'm not sure. We'd have to.
Well, I've read through a little bit of it. I know, but I'm just saying, like, people are probably not familiar with this at all.
You're talking. Okay.
So as they walk out of the
Mr.
thing, they're
Reagan
gonna
wouldn't
be
know
thinking,
that.
yeah, no, they're gonna no. It's like I'm saying that the people listening to her right now are gonna be walking out of the thing going, "What is this Project 25?
They're gonna look it up.
I need to look into this." Yeah.
And then we're gonna have more supporters.
Exactly. That's the point. I'm trying to sort of agree with you, but I'm not doing a very good job of it.
drafting
But
too.
she's right. When the draft comes, we're gonna, Jason, we're gonna draft the Negroes. That's what we're gonna do. God darn it!
Yeah.
We'll put them on the front lines. Human shields, I call them.
Yeah, exactly. And she probably doesn't even know what that whole drafting was about. It was actually the Democrats pushing the draft.
It was the Democrats,
women.
and they're trying to get women in the draft as well, which is hilarious.
So, like, she just did a political ad for Trump there. I mean, when they realize what the truth is.
But the Taraji Henson, okay. So I've lost respect for her all at once. But I mean, she did it. She did a little thing with Kamala, so we know she's a lefty. We know she's a Democrat. She's working with them. But no, this is like unhinged lunacy. I mean, the idea that we would.
Well, I think I think a lot of these people, you've mentioned this before, they're not, man. I just think they do it because I think she thinks
they're being leveraged or something.
Yeah, she's aging actress, so I think this is they think this is going to help them, and this is what the Hollywood execs, the Hollywood everybody likes.
She's on the top of her game, though. She doesn't need to do this. I don't know what her problem is, but this idea that she goes, "I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to inform you." Okay, what do you think saying they're going to come for the Negroes first? What do you? That's not scaring them. Like, of course they're not going to come for black people first in the draft. That's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my life.
By the way, Mr. Reagan just demonetized this video.
Negroes, yeah. Well, it's like, because this is what I'm talking about. They're basically saying America's racist, and they're going to come after black Americans.
Yeah,
those are the people. Look, we don't think like that. I mean, conservatives definitely don't think like that. I mean, it's just such the fact that people will believe her, though. That's the crazy thing. But the fact that she thinks that, or she thinks that it's an okay thing to promote that idea, that to me is despicable. That to me was the worst thing that she said. They're going to come after the blacks first in the draft. Come on.
Well, you know what? I'm in support. Like, speaking of the policy, I'm in support of the draft. Like, I mean, I don't agree with it, but in a way, I'm supportive of it because what better way to get Gen Z, is that what you call it? Who's the next generation now? Gen Z.
So you're saying, look, we're not trying to put the blacks in the front lines as the human shields. Gen Z, that's the ones that we want to kill.
And they're the ones with the Ukrainian flags on their ex names. They're always the ones with.
If you really want to support Ukraine,
okay,
go on over.
You support them so much that hey, you get drafted and you go. I don't want my son going.
What do we got next? What do we got? We got any more stories?
Yes. Breaking. The Supreme Court ruled that President Trump has immunity for official acts during his term in office. Libs of TikTok.
Okay, so this is, I don't know why the Libs of TikTok one. This is in like every major newspaper, but he goes to Libs of TikTok. I had
a Breitbart article, but I was like, yeah, let me give it to Libs of TikTok.
Okay, all right. And we don't want to see the Heidi Klum seal.
Exactly.
Ad.
So thank me, Chris. Thank me.
Well, okay. So this is an interesting thing. They basically, I was not expecting this, but it makes sense. It's something that I've kind of promoted on the show, and I've talked about how I think that they should rule this way, and they've ruled this. I think it's great. Basically, they've said that because Donald Trump, like especially with the Georgia thing, right? With the Georgia thing, where he called up the Secretary of State of Georgia, and he said, look, I think that our election was stolen. I think that there are votes that have gone uncounted. If we get a certain amount of votes, that we find these votes, that they're legitimate votes, if we find them and we count them, then I'll win Georgia. So can you go in and try to figure out if there's any votes that we missed and that we didn't count? Now, Democrats have tried to I think deceptively distort this as Donald Trump went in and said, manufacture fake votes. manufactures fake votes. Now, there's no interpretation of anything that Trump said that would have indicated that that's what he meant. You can't interpret that way if you're trying to look at it honestly. Dishonestly, yeah, you could twist it into indicating that, and a lot of people believe it. Like, I think probably all Democrat voters believe this. But if you really look at what he said, no, he's saying that he believes there are votes that weren't counted. That is a totally legitimate concern. And as president, he should ensure that the election was fair and legitimate, right? If he has any concerns that it's illegitimate, he should have those concerns looked into, and he should talk to whomever around the country that can look into these concerns and try to, ameliorate the problem. So he was not just acting like the Supreme Court, I think, is saying that Trump wasn't just doing something for his own benefit. Trump wasn't just doing something because that's what he wanted. Trump was doing something because as the president, that's what he should have been doing. That was part of his job as president. And now Democrats are basically coming out and saying, oh, so I guess a president could just murder somebody and it's fine then, huh? We should just commit political assassinations all over the place now because presidents have immunity for anything they do. Now, within the scope of their job is what if they're doing something that is within the scope of their job as president, they have immunity, certain immunity from prosecution. Because, and the reason that the court is saying this. Oh, do we have another one that we want to post?
Well, it's attached to this one. I think is very interesting.
All right, let me post that. So the reason that you need presidential immunity is because you need some assurance that the stuff that you're going to do as president isn't just going to be, you're not just, once you get out of office, there's no threat that your political opponents are just going to put you in prison because they don't like you, right? They're trying to protect presidents from being persecuted as Trump is being persecuted now. This has always been the reason for the presidential immunity, and this is the reason that the Supreme Court is upholding the presidential immunity. Yeah. Is this the Memo one?
The one that I gave,
that's a different one. No,
yeah.
No, sorry.
No, it's not that.
One. Yeah.
But
keep talking. Go ahead.
This is great. I did a post. I put good thing Biden wasn't president when he committed all those quid pro quos crimes, so he can still be punished for what he did. But
yeah, he was vice president, right?
Yeah, vice president. So he could still go to jail for that. But Obama is saved from killing an American, assassinating an American citizen. So it saves his butt too. Right. So Obama was probably grateful that they passed it like that too, that they said that presidents have immunity.
All right. This is the AOC thing?
Yeah, so AOC comes out after that ruling with Trump derangement syndrome and says AOC to file articles of impeachment against SCOTUS.
Yeah, this was pretty funny. She actually tweeted about this. I saw this today.
Yeah, so
I love that picture. I love that picture. She looks kind of sexy and kind of scary at the same time.
It's the red lipstick, I think.
That makes her look scary or sexy? I don't know which one. I think the hair is kind of sexy, but everything else is
sexy
scary.
Part.
Okay, yeah.
So she plans to file articles of impeachment against unnamed Supreme Court justices following the court's ruling on presidential immunity on Monday. So I mean,
she tweeted this. I saw this tweet actually. She writes,
but this is your typical. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I was just gonna say this is your typical stupid Democrat playbook. Like
of course,
they don't like it doesn't go their way, but if it goes their way, and then Republicans say it's all bad decisions and all that, and then we're looked at as no, you're just hate.
No, this is crybaby hour. This is exactly you're going to end democracy. This is crybaby hour. She's written, the Supreme Court has become consumed by a corruption crisis beyond its control. Today's ruling represents an assault on American democracy. It's up to Congress to defend our nation from this authoritarian capture. I intend on filing articles of impeachment upon our return. And then she cried, and then tears went like this, like in a cartoon. So,
Chris, AOC was man. She turned out to be a really good actress, man. She was
I know
they picked the perfect one.
Perfect.
Yeah.
I called it. That video called it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Listen.
That's why they hate you. That's why you've been targeted by YouTube
to death. Yeah. No, AOC, the Democrats generally have been pushing this idea for a while now that the Supreme Court is corrupt, and I kind of speculated that they'd push this more and more and more in a video that I posted months ago, because I had predicted that they would take Trump to court in order to try to keep him off the ballots. I predicted this actually after the raid of Mar-a-Lago. I said, you know what they're going to do? They're going to take him to court. They're going to say he's guilty of this and that crime. Therefore, he cannot be president according to the law, right? He should be taken off the ballots. And I said that what's probably going to happen is the Supreme Court will overturn any of these kangaroo court rulings. And then what they're going to do is they're going to say the court is corrupt, so you cannot trust any of the rulings of the court, and therefore they must be ignored. And so you just take Trump off the ballot no matter what, even if the court says you're not allowed to. And everything that I had suggested came to fruition. Everything.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if they're going to continue to try to take Trump off the ballots. That's not, we're not quite there yet. But they have obviously tried to do that in multiple states already. And I don't know if they've really found a way that they can do it, and they feel like the American people will kind of go for it. And especially since Joe Biden failed in his debate performance, I don't think that they have the goodwill of the American people to do something that corrupt openly. You know what I said about the debate in one of my tweets? I said, say what you will about Joe Biden. We criticize Joe Biden all the time, right? Say what you will about Joe Biden. On Thursday, he may have just saved America. And I think that's how I'm going to start out my video for tomorrow, I think. But I think that's kind of a funny idea, you know?
Yeah. But, you know, to go back on this whole Supreme Court thing, like when they passed Roe v. Wade, it was like celebrated, you know, like, oh, what an amazing decision. Then when they did get the prayer out of school, oh, amazing decision. Then when the gays can get married, oh, this is amazing. What a decision. This is the great. Then they vote to get rid of Roe v. Wade and bring it to the states. Oh my God, democracy's over. You know, like it's disgusting.
Well, this is the difference between the left and the right. The conservatism is fundamentally a traditional Western Christian European values party, right? We say, okay, what are our laws based in? They're based in traditional Christian ethics as interpreted by, you know, the European culture, right? That's how we created our laws. That's how we created our country. That's how we should continue to rule this country. The leftist point of view is like, no, we need to progress beyond morality. That's what progressive really means. It means progress away from morality, but that's not really progression, is it? No, that's
regression.
Yeah, regression. Or I was going to say devolution. I guess devolution is more like taking power from the federal government, giving to the states. So that's a silly term. But anyway, yeah, regression is a better term. Good call. We're regressing. We're becoming more primitive when we get rid of the Christian ethic, the Western Christian ethic. And you know, the Western Christian ethic is really, I think the best times in America were times in which Americans embraced the traditional Western Christian values, right? Like you look at something like the 1950s, you look at the TV shows back then and stuff like that. And there were these wholesome TV shows like the Andy Griffith Show. There were shows like Leave It to Beaver, stuff like that. And people make fun of those shows now. But if you go back and watch those shows, they were actually very entertaining shows. And the wholesome traditional Christian values that those shows promoted, they reflected the desires of the culture at the time. People wanted to be like that. Even if you watch something that's a little bit more secular with some sort of sexy elements, like something like Bewitched or I Dream of Jeannie or something like that, there's still a lot of these fundamental traditional values and ethics within those programs. So even I would say, like, you know, or something like the Twilight Zone, which was like very lefty and like civil rights oriented and all this kind of stuff, they still had the Christian ethics in that show. They recognize those things. If you want to watch one of the best, I would say the best things ever made, there is an episode of the Twilight Zone. I think it was one of the very first episodes in the first season, and it's called I think it's called One for the Angels. And it is one of the best things that I've ever seen in my life. And it's totally about, you know, just doing the right thing and being a good person and, like, you know, sacrificing oneself for, for someone else or something better, some good that's greater than your own. And, it may even bring a tear to the eye. So go ahead and find that if you can. It's actually a beautiful story. And at these times, and even in like the 80s, you go back to the 80s, and there was like, in some movies there's some like pretty viciously, scandalous stuff, some sort of sexy stuff in these movies. You had basically porn in movies because you didn't have like the internet now, like we have now. So, but you also had, on the flip side of that, you had Madonna, who was quite scandalous. You had like Michael Jackson. You had pop culture. You had some stuff that was, a little bit more teetering on the edge of, debauchery, sinful stuff, nasty stuff. But on the flip side, in the 1980s, on the flip side, you had this sort of almost like evangelical movement in America. You had this sort of resurgence of Christianity in America in the 1980s, and then you had shows like Highway to Heaven and Little House on the Prairie and stuff like that. These shows that were very Christian shows. So you had that in Hollywood, you had that in the entertainment industry, and that again reflected the culture. Yeah. And I can remember as a kid, people had this sort of like idea that they had a sort of duty to God. They had a sort of duty to like dress well when they got on the plane, propriety and just being a good person. And to me, those were the best times in America. And there are some very exciting things about America today, which are like, you got the iPhone, you got the entirety of human knowledge on your friggin' phone. You know what I mean? You have access to every book ever written on your phone. It's a phenomenal time to be alive. You can go on YouTube and you can learn a new career on YouTube videos, just from watching YouTube videos. Crazy. So we live in an amazing time, but I do think the best times in history are the times in which we embraced traditional Christian values, which is the conservative way.
Chris, I love you. You'll take one little 3 words I say and make it into this Socratic speech.
I know, it's brilliant. Well, last thing we're gonna say. G.I. Jose jumps in with $2. He says Ecclesiastes 10:2, King James version. Read it biblical. I guess that's his version of they not like us.
Yeah,
it biblical.
But
sorry,
so
just
really quick
to
go back onto the Supreme Court thing, like if they win and they win a majority in Congress and Senate and whatever and president, whatever, they're going to stack the courts. They never play fair. They always got to cheat, and they learned their lesson. They learned their lesson this time around. They cannot allow the Supreme Court to make the type of decisions they were making.
I made a video a long time ago. They're going to stack the courts. They're also going to fix the vote they're going to give amnesty to a lot of illegal immigrants. They're going to bring in more illegal immigrants. I think they're going to give state status probably to Puerto Rico. They're going to do they're going to probably give state status to Washington, D.C. I think they're going to do a lot of things to try to fix the vote if the Democrats get in again. And I'm surprised they haven't done it this time. And I think the only reason we've barely been able to get out of this without them completely and totally fixing everything is because we still have the House. I think that's our saving grace. We have the House. We have the Supreme Court.
I think them not getting the majority the way they wanted, I think they thought they would. I think they thought the rig was going to be so big that they were going to have the majority in everything. And I think because of that is not why they were fully able to do what they really wanted to. And I'm saying that because that's why they put Biden in there. He's the perfect puppet. And like I said, they could blame everything on him when the term is done. But you're right. They weren't able to really do what they want. That's why I think if they get it next 4 years, it's scorched earth for them.
Scorched earth, 100%. So we need to go scorched earth against them. By essentially putting all the criminals in prison. Not anybody who is not criminally liable of things, but people who are criminally liable things in Congress, in the Senate, in government generally, the bureaucrats, the unelected officials, Joe Biden, Hunter Biden. These people need to be investigated. They need to be tried. And if found guilty, they must be convicted and go to prison. Well, that's it for us. Let us know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, you guys are amazing. Thanks again to Dame Frodo Lives, who was fantastic on the show. Everybody who gives us a super chat, everybody who was in the chat at all, thank you guys. You guys are amazing. Remember, it's not that all liberal friends are ignorant. It's just they know so much that is not so. Good night, guys.